If you receive Social Security, SSI, or SSDI, there's a real change happening to how your payments get verified, and it's rolling out in stages that most beneficiaries haven't been told about in plain language anywhere. This isn't a rumor, and it isn't some vague internal memo nobody can point to. It's a set of actual policy shifts confirmed by the Social Security Administration itself, covering how your bank information gets checked, how your identity gets confirmed, and how your payment actually reaches you. And the part that matters most for you personally is this. Several of these changes shift the responsibility to you, the beneficiary, to make sure your file is accurate, rather than leaving it to the agency to catch problems after the fact. I want to walk you through exactly what's changing, why it's changing, and what you can do this week to make sure none of it disrupts your check. Let's start with the biggest structural shift because it affects the largest number of people. The Social Security Administration is rolling out a system called Access to Financial Institutions, or AFI, and by the middle of this year it becomes the standard tool for verifying the bank resources of SSI applicants and recipients. Here's what's actually different about it. In the past, SSA only ran a deep check on your bank accounts if the resources you reported crossed a certain threshold. Under the new system, nearly everyone applying for or currently receiving SSI gets checked through this system, regardless of what you've reported. And this isn't a one-time check either. The system can run searches across a beneficiary's known address history, looking for old savings accounts, forgotten certificates of deposit, or other financial holdings that may not have been reported. The purpose behind this is straightforward. SSI has strict resource limits, generally $2,000 for an individual and $3,000 for a couple, and the agency wants to catch overpayments before they happen rather than discovering them years later and demanding the money back, which is exactly the kind of situation that's created enormous stress for retirees in the past when SSA claws back thousands of dollars all at once because an old account nobody thought to mention showed up during a routine review. The second major shift involves how you actually prove who you are when you're dealing with Social Security, and this is the one that catches people off guard the most because it changes something a lot of retirees have relied on for years, the ability to simply call the SSA and handle things over the phone. Starting with recent policy changes, if you want to update your direct deposit information or take certain other sensitive actions on your account, you generally can no longer complete that identity verification over the phone alone.
If you have an active My Social Security online account and can verify your identity that way, you're fine. But if you don't have one set up, or if the online system can't confirm who you are, you're now required to visit a local field office in person to complete that verification before changes to your direct deposit or benefit information can go through. On top of that, the agency is expanding mandatory multi-factor authentication for anyone logging into their online account, meaning a password alone isn't enough anymore. You'll need a second verification step, usually a code sent to your phone or email, or verification through a service like id.me or login.gov every time you access your account online. This is specifically designed to stop fraudsters from hijacking accounts and redirecting direct deposits to themselves, which has become a real and growing problem. But it also means if you've never set up online access or don't have a phone number on file that can receive a verification code, you could find yourself unable to make even simple changes without a trip to a physical office. The third shift is quieter, but affects literally everyone who receives a payment, and it has to do with how that money actually reaches you. Following an executive order requiring nearly all federal benefit payments to move to electronic delivery, Social Security is finishing its transition to a fully digital-first payment system this year. In practice, this means paper checks are being phased out almost entirely, and if you're still one of the small number of people receiving a paper check in the mail each month, you'll need to be set up with either direct deposit into a bank or credit union account or the Direct Express prepaid debit card program before that transition completes. If you're already on direct deposit, this particular change won't disrupt anything for you.
But if you've been receiving a paper check out of habit or because you never got around to setting up direct deposit, this is the year that stops being optional, and waiting until the last minute to sort out a bank account or enroll in Direct Express is exactly the kind of thing that can leave you without access to your payment right when you need it most. Here's why all three of these changes matter together, and not just individually. If your bank information is outdated, if you've never set up online verification, or if you're still relying on a paper check, you're sitting at the intersection of exactly the areas the Social Security Administration is tightening right now. And unlike in past years, when a mismatch or an outdated detail might get quietly corrected during a routine review months later, the direction all of this is moving is toward automated systems that check your file more frequently and flag inconsistencies faster. That's not necessarily a bad thing. The stated goal behind these changes is to catch errors, prevent overpayments that later get clawed back, and stop fraudsters from hijacking accounts, all of which genuinely protect beneficiaries in the long run. But it does mean the burden of keeping your file accurate now falls more heavily on you than it used to, and the old assumption that everything in your file is probably fine unless someone tells you otherwise is a riskier assumption to make than it once was. So here's exactly what I do this week to make sure none of this catches you off guard. First, if you're on SSI, take a few minutes to think honestly about whether every account and resource you currently hold has actually been reported to Social Security, including anything old or small that might have slipped your mind, because the new verification system is specifically designed to surface exactly that kind of thing, and it's far better to report it yourself than to have it flagged automatically. Second, go to ssa.gov and either create a My Social Security account if you don't already have one, or log into your existing account and make sure it's set up with working multi-factor authentication, meaning a current phone number or email that can actually receive a verification code. This single step alone will save you from needing an in-person office visit for most future changes. Third, if you've moved recently, changed banks, or updated your phone number and haven't specifically gone in and confirmed those changes are reflected on your Social Security file, do that now, since a mismatch between what SSA has on record and what's actually true about you is precisely the kind of thing that slows down identity verification. Fourth, if you or someone you know is still receiving a paper check each month, don't wait for that option to disappear entirely. Set up direct deposit now or enroll in the Direct Express card program so the transition happens on your terms rather than becoming an emergency later. And fifth, if you use a representative payee to manage your benefits, make sure they're aware of these changes too, since the identity verification and bank confirmation requirements apply to them just as much as they apply to you. I also want to say something directly about scams, because anytime an agency like Social Security tightens its rules, scammers treat it as an opportunity. You will start seeing calls, texts, and emails claiming to be from Social Security, warning you that your benefits are at risk unless you act immediately. Sometimes asking you to confirm your bank details or your Social Security number right there on the phone. None of that is how the real agency operates. Social Security will never call you out of nowhere demanding immediate action, and it will never ask for your full bank account information or Social Security number over an unsolicited phone call, text, or email. If the agency genuinely needs something from you, it comes through an official letter in the mail or through your verified My Social Security account, not a threatening phone call demanding you act in the next 10 minutes. If you get a message like that, don't click anything, don't call the number it gives you, and instead go directly to ssa.gov by typing it into your browser yourself, or call the official Social Security number to check. None of these 3 changes are secret, and none of them require you to panic or assume the worst. What they do require is a small amount of proactive effort now, checking your online account setup, confirming your bank and contact details are current, and making sure you're not relying on a paper check that's on its way out, rather than waiting to discover a problem only after a payment gets delayed. Take the 10 or 15 minutes this week to walk through those steps, and you'll go into the rest of the year with a file that's accurate, verified, and protected, instead of finding out the hard way that something on file didn't match what the system expected.